Welcome to Wives, Counsel, and Friends, where we shift perspective through wisdom, insight, vision, experience, and of course, Holy Spirit. Today, I have with me my very favorite Mother Patricia Sylvester, and today we're talking about bridging the gap. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Wives, Counsel, and Friends. Today, I have with me Mother Patricia Sylvester. I am super excited that she is joining us. Mother Pat, how long have I known you?
It's been about 7, 8, 9 years.
Okay,
Yeah.
and earlier when I asked you that, I was like, I don't quite remember whether I said something, you said something, and
I don't really remember how we connected. I'm thinking it was with the kids because your children were so well mannered. That was a bright spot. It was something that you didn't witness often. So I'm thinking it was
it was
probably
with the
the
kids.
children.
But since then, our relationship has definitely grown,
Yes,
right?
it has.
I know throughout the years, you made sure you always gave us hugs and kisses.
Oh.
But more than anything, I think our relationship has grown more during the pandemic. That we have definitely grown a bond when we talk a lot more.
Right,
Even though we
right.
did talk before, we talked at church,
Yeah.
but now we're talking outside of church, in church, that kind of thing. So I am definitely grateful for Mother Pat. She has provided a lot of encouragement, especially during my pregnancy, because my pregnancy was super, super hard. But she would just text me out of the blue and ask me how I was doing, encourage me with the word of God. There was so many times that I had some things that bothered me, even in regards to church. But Mother Pat would not necessarily, she wouldn't judge me for what I felt at the moment. She would give me practical things of how, she faced things in church and things like that. So during this journey with her, what I've learned is that she holds a lot of wisdom, right? She has a lot of wisdom and a lot of things that women my age need that a lot of us are pushing away because of whatever experiences that we have had that may have been negative. So I wanted her to come today to share some wisdom with us of what she would tell our generation, whether it's in regards to church, whether it's in regards to relationships. I want her to pour her heart, and then we'll go into some different questions later. Okay, Mother Pat, so what do you
Yeah,
have?
well, when I talk to younger females, I try to get to know them first. And that way it gives me a better approach. Because, like you say, some people are carrying burdens from way back. Maybe they don't even remember why, but when an older person says something to them, they jump to the defensive. I know sometimes we can come across harsh, but my thing is if we're telling you the truth is not pretty. It comes out harsh, but when I talk to a younger person, I come from a place of love, place of concern. I don't like to see younger women devalue themselves to get attention. I'm not with the low cut clothing and the skin tight, not, well, it's a time and a place. And I don't think church is it. And it hurts me when I see younger people, I guess, disrespecting the church because the church to me is something sacred. You go there to heal or to get help or to be led. But when you come in and you come in wrong and someone tries to show you a better way and you reject it, then it's kind of difficult. I hate to see it. I
I
hate
think
to
that's
see
key
it.
though in what you said. You said that you build relationships, right? And we
Try.
all know that relationships come from consistency. So anytime we're being consistent with someone, and like for me, I learned that you loved me. I had no question of that, even though you would say all the time, I love you. But there was something different in building a relationship. There was something different in you being consistent, that when you did tell me something that I may not have agreed with, I was able to receive it because of your consistency. So I believe that that is key. And when we talk about the older generation, even providing guidance to the younger generation, is that we need to make sure we have relationship, and we need to make sure that it comes from a place of love. And we also need to understand that everything the older generation may tell us is not always something that feels good,
Right.
but it's because if we know their heart, though, we receive it better. So
Yeah.
I think that's really good.
And I think some of the younger people just think old folks are just nosy and trying to hold me back, and you're jealous, and that's not it
Mm-hmm.
at all. When I talk to a younger person, I don't finger point. I'll say we do this and we do that, so they know. I'm hoping they realize I'm not judging you, because we've all been there. I was young at one time, made bad choices, horrible decisions, and I didn't really have anybody other than family members to help put me on the right track. So, one thing I would like to do, I would love to be seen as someone that makes a difference, and not in a negative way and not in a pushy way, but because I care.
So,
Because I
mother,
care.
there are some, older people who are like you, right? Where you're saying, hey, I'm not one who's jealous. I'm here who's rooting for you, right? But then there are also older people who don't want to be older, right? And they kind of get intimidated by the younger generation.
True.
What would you say to your generation specifically, as to how to make sure that it's not an issue of them individually? Because sometimes we have issues within ourselves, right? Like, for instance, if I don't want to grow older, then I may look at the younger generation and feel threatened by them, and then so I come at them from a place of being harsh or being mean. What would you say to them as to how to assess that?
To the younger person,
To the older
to
person.
the older person, that's really tough. What I used to say all the time, I want to grow old, and I want to do so gracefully. You know, I don't want to put on spandex, one piece. I don't want to wear the cleavage down to my navel. That's just, I want to be a lady. I want to be seen as a lady. I want to be respected as a lady. And when you see me, I'm not coming at you to compete. No, I'm coming there as your granny. Because I could be a lot of people at the church or anywhere. Grandmother, I'm 80 years old, so there's just nothing that I would want to relate to so far as me being intimidated by a younger person, because I feel maybe inferior within myself. I don't feel that. I feel I've grown, I've learned, and I'm proud of that, so.
Would you have any tips for someone who doesn't have that heart posture, where there is someone who's struggling to, maybe, because I know with some older generation, right, with the older generation, some people feel that, I should be doing what they're doing, because some of them may have feel that they missed their time, or they feel like I'm being made, that like it feels like I'm not valid. And sometimes they feel that way because there are literally people who try to make them feel that way, right? Because there are people in our generation who we can be very dismissive of the older generation, right? We feel like they can't tell us anything. We know better. We have a better way.
Right,
so
right.
It works both ways,
Right,
right?
right.
So in those situations where there is someone who is of the older generation that literally are being pushed out, how can they cope so that they don't take on the bitterness, so that they don't take on the anger of being pushed out?
Well, I think that's something that person has to come to realize themselves, that you are a generation above or two generations above the younger person, and you have to realize that being young and acting like you're young when you're not, it's not necessary. We all play our part. You say I was effective in teaching you.
Absolutely.
You are effective teaching. Well, let me go with one of my daughters, because my kids are older than you. Each generation has a part to play. I can't go back 50 years.
Right.
I mean, I could in my dress, in my talk, but I would appear foolish, So accept where you are thank God for you being where you are and pray that you learn something along the way. And just because your youth wasn't fulfilled, you can't go back and do anything about that. Just grow from where you are.
So, Mother Pat, what advice would you give us as to how to better bridge the gap with the older generation? What advice, what are some things you see right now that we're doing wrong that we need to kind of reassess in bridging that gap
And
between
I
the
wouldn't say it
generations?
was wrong. It
Okay.
depends on your background and whether you accept, uh, I won't say criticism, I don't like the word criticism, constructive guidance. Sometimes it's in our approach to you. It's sometimes it's the words we say. They come out wrong, and you put up a wall. So the only thing I could say is try to get to know the person. If I'm just meeting you, I don't need to walk up to you and say, well, you need to cover up. No. You know, immediately you're going to be on the defensive.
Right.
What, you don't have no reason to talk to me like that. I don't know you, you don't know me
Right.
type attitude.
Right.
So the younger people, sometimes they know their history and have accepted it, sometimes not. I guess they're like in denial. But if an older person come to you and they approach you in the right way, you might reject it, but it gives you something to think about later, because you know they were correct in what they said. They didn't just jump all over you. And I think if that person go back and sit down and say, well, she was right, you know, you don't have to befriend that older person right then and there, but to me, the demeanor changes. When you see me, you might give me a little partial smile, and then our relationship will go from there, because what I said was that you're to better you, and it wasn't to criticize you or bring you down, it's to help build you up, really.
Understood. So, with that being said, I want to add, I guess you can say, another portion to that question of, the shifts and things like that you see between the generations. What are some things that you see currently in this, I guess you can say, new church, the way the church has evolved versus how it was back then? What are some things that you say, you see that this is God and he's just evolving some things versus this is, just some changes that may not necessarily be needed?
Well, the one thing that bothers me is cliques within the church. I don't like that, because we're all there for the same purpose. And because I'm not a college graduate and you are, that should not separate us. But if you have it in your mind that you're only going to associate with people that they have the same level that you are, then that kind of, it's reflected within the church body in itself. You have people that you talk to, and you have people that you don't talk to. Well, we have people in the church that need talking to, but you turn your back on them, they leave. You put a bad taste in their mouth for Christians. We're supposed to love everybody. Not saying that you can't have friends that are college graduates or what you feel is on the right level, but we can be kind to everybody. But normally when cliques form, cliques stay with cliques. They don't, it's like a little wall around there. Let nobody else can come in there, and it's obvious.
So, in that, there are some people who say, well, I'm trying to get around people who are in the same mindset as me because I want to grow and they don't want anything in life. So what about those comments that people say, well, I hang with this same caliber of people because I'm trying to go somewhere? What would you say to that?
Well, be an example for someone else. You know, there are people that actually do not know. There are people that have not been taught. There are people that had no positive examples to follow. And sometimes you could be the difference. It's something about you that stands out that just attract people to you. Like Johnny Cash wife used to say, she just wanna matter.
Who's
And that's
Johnny
I
Cash,
just
mother? Mother, who's Johnny Cash?
oh
Okay, I won't answer that.
he's a
Okay.
country and western singer.
Okay,
And his
okay.
wife's name was June Carter Cash.
Oh, okay.
And she used to say she just wanna matter. And I found that intriguing because I wanna matter. I don't wanna just go to church and anchor down one of those chairs. I want to be someone that's loved, respected, looked up to. Uh, you feel you can come to me, and this week and next week, everybody know what we talked about. No,
Understood.
no. You know, what you see is what you get. If we talk, we talk. You know, me, Derek, and his wife, Diamond, right? We don't talk.
Right,
You know,
understood.
because if you wanted them to be a part of the conversation, you would have invited all of us to the
Understood.
table, you know. So,
So what I hear
I
you
just,
saying then, Mother, is that the church is not a safe place as it used to be, as far as in having or not or making sure we keep people's information confidential. And then we have clicked off based on degrees and maybe our I guess you can say our financial status and things like that, instead of making everyone included.
yeah,
When really we should be identifying all people, loving all people, and those who may not necessarily be on our level, be an example for them.
right. Because I read somewhere where the church is not for the saved. The church is for the ones that need saving. So we need to be aware, we need to be in touch, and we need to do the Christ-like thing, you know, just love everybody. I'm not saying you have to invite them to your house or go party with them. You don't have to do that, but you can be nice. Sometimes some people, that's all. I know a young lady when she first started coming to our church, she just sat there. She wouldn't clap her hands. She wouldn't sing. She wouldn't do nothing. But every week I would go to her and shake her hand, you know. And I would have to literally lift her hand to shake it. That's how just she was just I don't know, just hurting, I guess. And I told her one day, I said, "You gonna be my project, man. You are my project." Now we have a great relationship, and I've been knowing her about 10 years. I don't talk to her often, hardly ever see her, but she always thanked me because she said when she came to the church, she was in a bad place.
She just did a handshake, right?
She
That's
was in a
good.
bad place, and that made a difference. So that's how I kind of want to be remembered. I think is I made a difference.
Absolutely. Because you make one in my life every day. Every day. So, Mother, what else would you say? Would that be the main things that you say have changed that you don't necessarily agree with versus what is now?
Well, I've seen it before, and I see it happening again. And I try not to let it bother me, but it does. And I don't like it at all. You
And when
know,
you say you don't like it, you mean the clicks, or are you
the
talking about,
clicks,
okay, the
the
clicks.
clicks.
Okay,
Yeah,
understood.
I don't like that. Uh, I can't ask you to befriend somebody if that's not what you want to do. But I think us as the older generation, we know, you know, you can almost look at a person and you can't tell what they need, but kindness goes a long ways, a long ways. So,
So, what are some things that are good? What are some things you're like, okay, this has changed, this has shifted, and okay, I see God in this? What are some things that you see now that you're like, I see God moving?
in me, I pull on God more. It used to be I did this and I did that, And I've come to the realization that no, you didn't. If he hadn't awakened you, you wouldn't be able to do any of that. But I lost a son.
Okay.
And that was very, very, very painful. But I never questioned God as to why he took my child. I thanked him for taking one and leaving me 6. So I realized that the more I give myself to God, the stronger he makes me. I have a daughter that has cancer, and it's taken its toll on her, I still don't question him, I ask for strength. Just give me the strength. Whatever your decision is, if what I want does not align with what you have in store for her, just give me the strength to deal with it. So I know relying on God and letting him do it, because I have a habit of asking for something, but I'm going to show you how I want it done, and I realized that about myself. So I'm learning to go to God and leave it.
So would that be because you feel that the word or that is preached is now stronger than it was in the past? Or what about the church transforming now has led you to that place?
I think a lot of it has to do with me.
Okay.
I'm more receptive. I didn't come from a place where God was everything to me. It was, I called on him when I needed him. And once he helped me out, then I go on to the next mistake I made and I had to call on him again. Now, he's my everything, I thank him when I get up in the morning. I thank him when I get my shower, that I'm still able to shower myself, and I'm able to, he woke me up, first of all. And just about everything I do all day long, I thank God, because I realize without him, nothing.
So with you saying that, what I'm hearing you say that is that it has to be an individual relationship, that the changes and things that are happening that are actually good should be with an individual person, that it's important to have, because I heard you say earlier, you referenced your daughter that had cancer, and that you also have a child that's deceased, which I don't think I knew that.
Oh, okay.
I didn't think I knew that. But so during those times though, Mother, in the midst of still what's going on throughout the world, how do you hold on to strong faith? How did you get to a place of, after you lost your kid and your daughter diagnosed with cancer, that, okay, now God is more to me than he was before?
Because I realize he strengthens me. He keeps me going. Whatever's going on in the church, I don't have a relationship with what's going on in the church. I have a relationship with God. I go to church to get my fill up so I can deal with the rest of the stuff the week until the next Sunday. I don't do Wednesday night services because I don't like driving at night. But other than that.
But we talked about that, right? Because y'all, I had to call Mother Pat. And I was talking to her because I was just checking on her. And I said, you're not a burden. And then what the Lord revealed to me was she didn't want to call me because I have 6 kids. My 6 kids are not the regular 6 kids, okay? So what I told her was, I was like, when you want to drive somewhere at night, to call me, right? Because a lot of times the older generation also feels like that. They feel like they can be a burden to us. So a lot of times we have to reach out and pull them in to say, you matter, that you're not a burden. And that's what I had to tell Mother Pat that day. Call me and you're not a burden to me. And I believe that that's very important as we're trying to build the bridge between the older and younger generation. We can't just expect to pull from them, because a lot of us, We like their money because y'all got money. They don't be like to tell us about their stash. But a lot of them feel like they've just been pulled on. We'll pull on them to watch our kids. We'll pull on them to babysit, to, whatever. But we don't pull on them to say, how can I assist you? How can I help you? How can I serve you? But we've always wanted to have the service, So I believe we have to do better in not just trying to pull on you when we need a babysitter or when we need money, but pull on you when there are things going on in our lives, and not just pulling on you to a place of, I'm just going to let you pour all that out and then I'm not going to listen to you. Because that's another thing. We can make them feel very devalued. Like, what's the point of asking or saying, God, I just need somebody in my life? And then because they may not be our age, we don't think they have anything to offer us, right? And so that's something I think is very key for us, is to make sure we're reaching for the older generation and pulling, whether that means serving them by bringing them to church or just sitting at their feet. That's one of the things I told Mother Pat. I was like, Mother Pat, you have so much wisdom, and there's so many of us who just need to sit and glean from you when it comes to church, when it comes to family, no matter what it has been, especially in this last year during the pandemic. I've reached out to Mother Pat. Sometimes I'll make a post and she'll be like, ooh, your spirit was off in this post. What's going on, right? And I didn't say, oh, you being nosy, because there are some nosy old people, okay, right? But hers was a true concern. She had a true concern as to how I was doing. She had a true concern to how my husband was doing, how my children are doing. And you can tell the people who have genuine hearts, right? And then there are some who want to help, who are of the older generation, but they come off a little rough, right? We have somebody like that. Yeah. She come off a little rough, but her intention is really good. She really, really loves us. Her heart is well. She came and told me my dress was a little short before, and I just made it down a little bit. By the time I was a elect lady at the time, and she was like, that little skirt getting up there. But we have to appreciate that, right? Because what I have realized more than anything is that God is gifting you all and still has given you all so much things to pour into us. And if we don't keep our relationships, if we don't strive to keep them strong, then they won't be. Like, it's literally a decision. It's a decision that I know you have value. It's a decision for you to know I have value. Now, because we're still here, that means that there's still purpose. There's still plan. So how can we do this kingdom building? Because that's what we should be doing, right? Not necessarily building businesses or whatever whatever. That's a part of some of the kingdom building, right? But that's not the whole thing of it. The Bible literally tells us that God says, I know you are my disciples by your love for one another. So if we can't love the older generation, if the older generation can't love the younger generation, then what are we doing exactly, right? Like what's the point of it all? So I say that because there is a building that needs to happen collectively. We don't have to be separate, because there are some things I had questions about, that I was frustrated about, that when I reached out to Mother Pat, I didn't feel alone anymore. I didn't feel like I was this off the wall millennial who was just losing her mind, because she experienced some of the things I experienced. She has how many kids, Mother?
7.
She got 7. I got 6. She got a lot she can tell me about. And there was a lot of times she just gave me encouragement when she didn't even know I needed it. She would reach out, or just let y'all know that y'all are like family to me, and those things are important. So I believe when we dismiss each other, whether it's the older or the younger generation, I believe we miss out on a wealth of love. Like, we miss out on what God has in them. We miss out on kingdom building, because when we receive things, because there are some things literally, like, I know a lot of people don't like, I grew up in a Baptist church, so we had the wooden floors, right? But y'all, some of them old Baptist churches is some of the most anointed churches I had ever been in, with the hymns and all. So I believe that, even though I do believe that God is shifting things, right? And there's a lot of things that are happening where God is like, no, I was never in that, in some religions or whatever. But I don't believe that we need to just wipe everything out. I don't believe we need to wipe out making sure, as Mother Pat talked about earlier, we're covered respectfully. I do get that there are people who come to church who don't have clothes. I get all of that. But it comes again with what she said at the beginning, which was build a relationship with them. Don't automatically assume that just because you see someone with their cleavage out, or a skirt too short, that they are trying to disrespect the house of God. Build a relationship with them to say, hey, I noticed, is there anything you can need? Is there a way for me to help you? I also don't believe in pointing out all the issues if we can't solve it. We like to say, oh, I'm going to pray for you. Prayer is great. Actually, buy me some clothes helps better. All right. So it's that where I believe we we have to have more conversations where we include the older generation, we include the younger generation, instead of us who think because we're millennials we know what's best, right? So we completely exclude them, but we want to make all the decisions about them. I think we need to do more of conversations to say, hey, this is what we sense God is doing. How do we work as a team to build this kingdom, right?
Yeah, because most of us are losing our independence, and that's a bitter pill to swallow when you've been working and taking care of children and grandchildren. Now I have to use the walker, and I find myself sometimes isolating myself. I don't go places because it's so cumbersome. But I appreciate the walker because in 2017, in October until January of 2018, I couldn't walk at all. I was in a wheelchair. I couldn't feed myself. I couldn't go to the bath. I couldn't do anything. So this is progress.
Amen.
For me, even though it's cumbersome and I don't go a lot of places in public by myself because some of the younger people have no respect for the older generation. And I don't want to put myself in a position where I'm disrespected.
Because I'll come get them. You know it.
Because I have two sons. I have one son that really, really would not understand that at all. Not at all. So I don't not go places, but I choose the places I go and the time that I go. I try to go when people are at work or at school.
Understood.
So that I can do what I need to do and get back home, Understood. So losing our independence might cause us to be a little nosy sometime, because we still feel like we have worth.
Absolutely.
Like we have
That's
something
good.
to contribute. But for the most part, I don't think we really, really mean any harm.
And I know we weren't going to talk about this, but I think you kind of opened the door for it. What do you think is happening with the generation as to why so many, and it's not just young people, but mainly young people to me, and this is me saying this, have become so disrespectful to the older generation?
I think a lot of the younger people are that way because you have babies having babies. You might have a grandmother that's 35 years old, So her child and then that grandchild, nobody's raising them. I'm still going to the club and I'm still trying to have fun, and so they're not taught. But I think if you teach children, they will stray, but they'll come back to that teaching. So I think a lot of them don't know, haven't been taught, want to fit in with the in crowd. You're not seeing yourself as an individual. You're somebody that has to mesh with somebody else, good, bad, or indifferent, doesn't matter. Just so I have somebody else in my life, So lack of communication at home and not being taught. They don't know. And our world has gotten so reckless that why should I? She's not doing it or he's not doing it, So you just let yourself go with the flow. You don't value yourself. You don't see where you're heading in the wrong direction, and then you don't want nobody to tell you anything, So you're just lawless now.
So, Mother, do you think that there are enough of yous in the world? When I say that, you've encouraged me, right? You've corrected me. You've hugged me, loved on me, prayed for me, prayed all of that. Do you think there are enough yous who will look at the younger people or just look even their own generation to do what you do?
Okay, give it the question again.
So do you think there are enough people like you who are not intimidated, who pray, who will encourage, who will reach out? even whether they are of the older generation or whether they are of the same generation, it doesn't matter. Do you think that there are enough people that are still doing what you do?
I think so, but I think they kind of pull away because people can be disrespectful. They can be really rude. You get cursed out, you know. So it was like, give them enough rope, let them hang themselves. You know, they just step back. You have to really, really be concerned about an individual to be persistent, you know, and some of them can be so ugly to you that you be like, but I might pull away from that person for a little bit, and it's like I'm trying to reassess and see how I can approach them in a different manner, you know. But I think some of us are just don't. I don't say we don't care, but we're just cautious.
Cautious.
Yeah,
That's
very,
good.
very cautious.
So, Mother, what would you say to any person who says, I have no hope, I have no guidance, it's just me, so I'm just doing whatever I know to do just to get by? What would you say?
I would say sometimes you get a feel for people, even if you don't know them. You know, you find somebody somewhere that you can talk to in confidence. Somebody somewhere that will just give you a hug or a kiss, because that might be all you need. You know, it clear your vision up. You know, because some people I've come to realize they have family, but they don't have family. You know, they don't have nobody to tell them I love you. I tell my children I love. If I talk to them 10 times a day, I love you 10 times a day. You know, because I realize that tomorrow I might not be able to tell you that, either because I'm gone or you're gone. You know, so just find somebody, because there's somebody that can relate to you. There's somebody that want a relationship with you. There's somebody that want to love on you. You know, so do your darndest to try to get a feel for somebody somewhere. Doesn't have to be in church. It don't have to be at school. It could be in your peer group. You know, but just you're not alone. You know, you're not alone.
I definitely don't feel alone when I'm talking to you, so I appreciate that. Mother Pat, is there anything else you want to share?
No, I don't think so. It's just that I love people, and I love to be loved back. But if not, it's okay, because I'm satisfied with who I am and whose I am. You know,
No, that's a big
and
statement.
if I can spread that, that's what I want to do. You know, but
Yes.
I'm in no way intimidated if it's not reciprocated. You know, I'm
Amen.
okay.
Amen.
I'm okay.
Y'all hear me say my amens. So y'all heard that, right? In order to bridge the gap, we have to build relationships, be consistent and not assume, and kind of do away with all these cliques. Everybody just wants to be loved. We have to love people and love them genuinely. And in return, we can bring change, having more conversations with the older generation and the younger generation, and not discounting anyone regardless of their age. Today, Mother Pat, you have shared a lot of wisdom, a lot of things that you've experienced, a lot of how you held on to faith about, I don't care what's happening in the church. I know what's happening in me and my relationship with God. And as long as I know who I am and whose I am, it's all well.
Good.
Okay, everyone, that is the end of today's show. We received a lot of amazing information from Mother Pat. We know that we need to build relationships, be consistent, stop with all the clicks. To receive more information like this, continue to follow us by subscribing to this channel. See you all soon.